The desert is not merely sand and heat. It is a vast, hungry graveyard of secrets that the sun itself fears to touch. For 3 days, he had walked. No water, no shade. Only the relentless horizon mocking his every step toward oblivion. Then, rising from the dunes like a jagged tooth, he saw it, a structure that should not exist in this wasteland. He didn't see the warnings. He didn't feel the unnatural chill. He only heard the phantom sound of water splashing below. With the strength of a dying man, he shattered the lock. As the iron snapped, a rhythmic thumping began deep within the earth. The stone lid groaned as it slid open. But there was no water. Only a thick, oily black smoke that smelled of sulfur. The shadows around him began to warp. The very sand started to vibrate, forming patterns that looked like thousands of screaming faces. Silence fell over the desert, a silence so heavy it pressed against his chest. And then the first hand emerged from the pit. The Jinn rose, its body unfolding like origami made of smoke and dying embers. Its eyes ignited like coals in the dark. It let out a sound that wasn't a scream, but the collective voices of 1,000 lost souls crying out at once. Above them, the sky turned pitch black. The stars didn't just fade. They fell from the heavens. Extinguishing one by one, reality itself began to fracture. The traveler turned to run. But the desert had become a prison with no exit. Every path led back to the abyss. Space was looping, folding in on itself in a never-ending nightmare of sand and smoke. The Jinn stalked him with unnatural grace. Its limbs twitching and snapping with the sound of breaking dry wood. Its face shifted. A cruel trick of the mind, one moment a beautiful woman, the next a charred, eyeless corpse. As the Jinn reached out, the traveler felt a coldness beyond death. His shadow was being ripped from his very feet. He tried to scream, but his voice was gone. It was now coming from the Jinn's throat, mocking his own agony. The ground beneath him softened, turning into a hungry whirlpool of black sand, pulling him toward the eternal dark. Invisible forces dragged him into the abyss. He reached for the light, but the light was already dead. Down into the total darkness he fell, where hundreds of glowing red eyes waited for their new companion. The stone lid slammed shut with a finality that shook the dunes. The seal was restored, but the price was paid. The desert returned to its silent vigil. When the sun rose, the well was gone, buried once more beneath the shifting sands. But if you listen closely to the wind, you might hear it. A faint, desperate knocking from somewhere deep beneath the earth. Beware the thirst that leads you to ancient places. For some things are buried for a reason, and they never truly die.